There's just been an overwhelming interest in local housing efforts in response to the pandemic and racial justice movements right now. I think people are making the connection even more than before between housing and health, housing and systemic racism, housing and creating communities that really work for all of us.
We've been so uplifted by the increased and sustained interest in this work as we shifted to a virtual space together. An ever-expanding group of local advocates continue to meet at our monthly Making the Case for Affordable Housing calls and workshop how to better engage their communities in this work. And our municipal engagement communities continue to meet monthly to develop strategies, raise awareness.
Between our rental assistance forums, our webinars, our regional meetings, and our COVID calls, we've just seen so many people come to the table ready to learn, join the affordable housing team, and recognize and commit to undoing things like systemic racism in zoning and fair housing discrimination. We couldn't be more excited that so many people have decided to get involved with CHAPA this year. Our public opinion polling has also taught us new ways to connect with people on the ground and to produce more affordable housing on the local level.
Following the outbreak of the pandemic, CHAPA shifted our policy priorities to focus on securing the needed resources to keep families in their homes, support owners, and make sure affordable housing providers can protect their residents.
Through the New England Housing Network, we were also able to engage our regional partners to hold virtual lobby days with our federal delegation and key committee members down in DC to advocate for housing and homelessness relief to be included in the CARES Act, the FY21 budget, as well as the COVID-19 relief packages. This led to $12.4 billion for HUD in the CARES Act.
Now, more than ever before, these housing programs have become very critical for our public health. We have managed to secure increased funding for resources like RAFT, down payment assistance programs, to help homeownership opportunities, and many more housing programs. These are more than just numbers. An increase in funding means many more families can access housing assistance. It means that they can have a roof over their head, they can keep their kids safe, they get time to heal, and they can find opportunities for growth and sustain through this pandemic.
We help keep the affordable housing communities informed and engaged through weekly COVID response calls, where we'd have hundreds of participants that would share best practices, challenges, and success stories, while also engaging directly with policymakers. We doubled down on our efforts to pass broader zoning reforms, like housing choice, to help communities that want to say yes to housing. This will help them build new, meaningful housing opportunities.
We also submitted comment letters in opposition to some key federal regulation changes, including the Community Reinvestment Act, the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Rule, as well as the Equal Access Rule.
Our policy team responded to the court challenge to the eviction moratorium. CHAPA filed an amicus brief highlighting the direct connection between overcrowded housing and the spread of COVID-19 within communities. In upholding the legislation, the court acknowledged that connection and further recognized that the moratorium allowed time for stakeholders to develop tenancy and property preservation funds.
I manage the Chapter 40B resales and refinances for CHAPA. As you can imagine, the pandemic has thrown up a whole bunch of new challenges in the process of buying and selling a home. But we've persevered, and I think it really underscores the need for affordable housing in the state, given the fact that we've already caught up to a typical year's resales. Also, the really low interest rates have allowed a lot of homeowners to refinance, lowering their monthly mortgage payments.
I oversee the Massachusetts Homeownership Collaborative here at CHAPA. This has been a successful year for our agencies across the state. Many of them have continued to prepare and assist families to achieve the goal of homeownership. We have seen thousands and thousands of families take the class. Our agencies have also come together to share resources and tips on how to offer classes virtually or online.
We are also working in collaboration with the Attorney General's office, connecting them with the eviction and foreclosure counseling agencies in Massachusetts. We want to ensure that the clients are receiving the best possible information and resources to ensure that they can maintain their homes during this time.
But I think my favorite story from the year is a woman who rented next door to a Chapter 40B homeownership development. A unit finally became available there. She applied, was the one applicant out of 9 selected in the lottery, and was finally able to realize her lifelong ambition to become a homeowner.
This year marked the 20th consecutive affordable housing development competition founded by our partner, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. Congrats to all participants and to the Wilson Gardens team. If our student competitors represent the next generation of housing professionals in Massachusetts, the future of affordable housing development is in worthy hands.
As CHAPA continues to serve as the trusted voice for housing in Massachusetts, I wanted to say thank you to all of our partners who help us speak up for and advocate for those policies and resources.
We thank the Homeownership Collaborative for all the great work they have done this year to continue to assist families across the state to achieve the goal of homeownership.
Thank you to all the organizations and the many individuals that have recommitted to CHAPA again this year, even during these times of uncertainty. I also like to recognize the Young Professionals Network here at CHAPA, a group of emerging leaders ready and willing to make new impact in the housing field. I want to acknowledge CHAPA's partnered program with the Mel King Institute, our Mentee and Mentor program. This year's cohort has up to 13 peers who are also ready and willing to make new impact to racial equality.
I've been encouraged by folks' willingness to have hard conversations about social inequities, undoing racial injustices, housing is a human right, housing is healthcare, and creating welcoming communities.
When given the opportunity, people across Massachusetts will lean into the hard work of creating affordable housing for all, despite the big challenges. So I'm really excited to see where the coming year will take us.
Through our advocacy for resources, not just for assistance for now, but making sure that people have housing vouchers, they have enough access to public housing, and many more resources to make sure everybody has a safe place to call home. We will be working, and we ask you to join us in that effort.
And of all the times to be joining us, this has been an extraordinary year with the convergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which only exacerbated the already existing problem of the dire lack of affordable housing in Massachusetts, and the spotlight on racism in America, presenting us with the opportunity to educate people about the role that zoning and access to housing plays in systemic racism. CHAPA is working harder than ever to ensure that everyone has access to a safe, healthy, affordable place to call home. Thank you so much for joining us.